and welcome to IDX TV. I'm Hannah Jackson here at the Retail Supply Chain and Logistics Expo 2023 at XL London. And I'm here with Lois Richards from Astrid and Miyu. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So you've just come from doing one of your talks. So tell me first of all about that. What were you focusing on?
So my topic of conversation was operational agility within the SME landscape. So my previous experience has been in much larger corporate environments, and then coming to work for Astrid and Miyu, I realised that the ways that SMEs have to work and have to adapt to the retail landscape is hugely different to those larger companies. So it was really good to break it down as to just explaining that you might not have the resources out there that the larger companies do have, but how you have to think, how you have to adapt, how you have to think ahead, but then you have to think in real time, you have to be proactive, reactive. So I just broke down all the key topics that smaller companies need to look out for, basically.
Amazing. Okay, well, tell me a little bit more about yourself and your role at Astrid and Miyu.
Okay, so I've been at Astrid and Miyu for about 6 months now, and I am the logistics and operations lead. I am a one-man band, and my primary focus is more project management. So how the company operates, their logistics structure. It's basically how, identifying the key areas that we need to improve on.
Right.
Because the company's been around for 10 years, but they've never really had that operational knowledge to be able to sustain their, the foundations of the business. That we're amazing at marketing, for example, we're amazing at the creative element of things, but it's how does our product operationally get from A to B, just making sure that all our customers get our products on time, basically.
Well, it is brilliant to have you here. So what are you most looking forward to seeing at the event, and what's your main reason for attending, apart obviously from your talk?
Okay, so my main reason for attending is to, from an SME perspective, is to build those relationships with 3PL warehouses, with the logistics companies, because even if we're happy with what we've got implemented at the moment, it's really good to build those relationships and obviously be able to fall back on contingencies if need be. How do other companies operate? What services do they use? What warehouses do they use? And then once I've gone round and spoken to as many people as possible, I really want to listen to 2 talks. So one is what 3 words. So obviously that just fascinates me in itself. It's you don't think of the detail that goes into the last mile of a delivery. And then the other speech I wanted to look at was just sustainable packaging, because that's a huge conversation for us at the moment. We're proud of the packaging that we have, but then in the next 2 quarters, I'd say, we're really looking at launching new and improved packaging. So it's good to speak to the companies here and just see what they have to offer, basically, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing networking opportunity here, isn't it? So hopefully you've met lots of great people that you can connect with afterwards. Now, the last couple of years, of course, a lot of disruption within the industry, obviously. So what have been some of the biggest challenges you've had to face?
I'd probably say it's probably the same for a lot of retailers, but our supply chain had really struggled because we've fallen back on maybe 2 or 3 suppliers. And from a risk management perspective, you can't solely rely on even 1, 2 or 3 suppliers. You have to have different options. If borders close for whatever reason, what are your contingencies? You, especially from an SME perspective, you also always need to think of short interim solutions as well as the long-term goal.
A lot of what ifs, I'm sure, as well. What if that happened?
A lot of what ifs. And especially we've learned that obviously, like I spoke in my talk just now about proactive management and reactive management. Like, you naturally have to react to a lot of different influences, but then how do you balance that with proactive management and think ahead of, right, if this happens, how does this affect this, etc.
Yeah.
So it's finding a good balance between the two.
Yeah. What is it about Astrid and Miyu that makes you stand out from other service providers?
I must admit, this is the first time I've worked for an SME, but Astrid and Miyu are very, like, I am impressed at how agile they are as a company. They're aware of their limitations. They're very happy to be as flexible as they need to be. They're happy to roll out a new project that they weren't sure that they needed to roll out, etc. So they've given me a lot of control and a lot of they've just allowed me to really get my teeth into things.
Yeah, a bit more freedom to just be creative. And
definitely, and compared to other companies, so many companies do things by the book. They don't want to listen to new ideas, but Astrid and Miyu were very, very open and accepting of the current state and what things could look like in the future. So it's a really good company to work for.
I mean, and that proof is in the pudding that you keep getting bigger and better because you are flexible, because you're thinking outside of the box, because you have to now.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. I mean, customers are increasingly becoming more and more demanding from retailers, for instance, like faster delivery times. So how are you ensuring an improved end customer experience?
So I must admit, going back to the previous point, Astrid and Miyu, customers are at the forefront of everything that we do. Like, if, for example, there might be a cheaper delivery service, but if that's not what our customer wants, then you then have to compromise. Do you need to absorb that delivery cost? And because of the size of our company, our customers can easily, there's a lot that are not as loyal as we'd like them to be. So like, for a lot of people, a gold hoop is a gold hoop. So if our competitors can get the order out within 2 to 3 days or next day, the customer's naturally going to go to them. So it's about, you don't even have to beat the competitors, you just have to just be on par with them.
Right.
So yeah, it's really about what our customers want. Like, for example, last mile deliveries. Can you leave it at a neighbour's house? Yeah. Can you redirect the parcel, etc. So I know a lot of companies go for the cheapest, easiest solutions, but that doesn't always work for us.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not always the best. It's not quality,
exactly.
And even though you're trying to play catch up quite a lot of the time in the industry, I think quality still speaks volumes, doesn't it, compared to convenience. I mean, speaking of that, so when it comes to sustainability considerations versus increased customer demands, how do you balance those consumer expectations? So like what you were saying, like, okay, you got next day delivery, but it comes at a cost. How are you kind of being like, if you want sustainability, might be a little longer to wait?
I think for us, it's all about communication. We really want to be as transparent as possible. We even go back to explaining, like, not what who our manufacturers are, but like where they're from, and then the customer really understands our vision with regards to sustainability. And like I said, with eco packaging, that's a huge thing for us. And then even speaking with logistics companies, you have to be having those conversations. And I know logistics is probably the worst industry for it. But even when you're like setting up a new relationship with a certain logistics company, it's like, how do you measure your carbon footprint? Can we get reports on this? Can you help us improve? It's not necessarily about immediately offsetting that carbon footprint. You have to reduce it first significantly, and then if you can offset, great. And we are looking to work towards B Corp as well, but there's a huge sustainability initiative that we're working on in-house, and once once we're confident with what we can offer, we definitely want to be able to communicate it to those customers.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, is communication. If customers know the story behind it, they know the reason, I think they'd be a lot more accepting of, let's say, for example, later delivery times.
Yeah, and it's almost about being real, being real and transparent. Like, sustainability is a very difficult subject, so customers probably expect an overnight solution, but if you break it down to say it's not that easy, but we're carrying out these steps, these phases, we're trying, and then our end goal, we want it to look like this, at least our customers can come on the journey with us.
So what are your ESG focuses for this year?
Like I said, it covers everything. So we're looking to roll out the more sustainable packaging in Q3. So obviously it's about what the box is made out of. Does the box have adhesive? Does it not have adhesive? Does it fit through a letterbox? Because then if it's a parcel size, then the delivery might not be successful, and then there's more of a footprint because the delivery has to be reattempted, etc. So there's so much that goes into it. And like I said, from a logistics perspective, it's a conversation that I really want to get my teeth into, because like I said, logistics is a nightmare for it, and we want to be able to do what we can, pull those reports, have those conversations, and then see what we can put in place.
It sounds like it's all moving in the right direction, and an exciting 2023 for you.
Very much so.
And what do you think about having platforms like IDX TV at events like this? What do you think it benefits for attendees?
It's really, really exciting, because the one thing that I've realised, even being here for a few hours and over the next 2 days, is all about brand awareness, building those relationships. Like, there's been a huge amount of people that reached out to me on LinkedIn ahead of time to be like, let's connect. So it's like, the scale of this is immense. So it's good to be able to speak with those individuals directly, get a deeper insight, because you might only have a select few at your speech, but then there's more of you can get the awareness out there afterwards, which is really, really beneficial for a lot of businesses.
And even though it's a few people, they might be quality people who are going to spread the word, and like you said, get your face out there. It's all about content, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Really exciting.
Well, thank you very much, Lois, and thank you for watching IDX TV.